Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, September 9th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you are someone that uses charts within your decision-making process, or maybe you're just interested in learning how charts can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candles here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, OCTO, absolutely monster move today. Everybody talking about it. So I think it's safe to say that a lot of people will be watching it on Tuesday. So let's get some of these key levels mapped out here. So the first level that you got to think a lot of people have drawn, and I make this comment because when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So you got to think a lot of people have connected those 2 points right there and are now going to be watching that area. Now, while there are no guarantees, again, if a lot of people are watching this, is it valid? Is it plausible to think that a break of that level right there could produce upside buying pressure? Absolutely. Again, no guarantees, but is that a valid question to throw out there as a possibility? In my mind, absolutely. So keep an eye on that level right there as an important area of resistance. In regards to areas of support, key level here, let's change that to green for support. Down here right around this 33.50 mark. Going back to the history of things, you can see both there and there, the bears try to press down through that level, but to give credit where credit's due, the bulls stepped up and were very strong at that area. So if this current pullback does, come down some more, then I'm very curious to see how the price behaves at 33.50. So moving forward, key battleground, that resistance straddle line right there, key area of support 33.50, but no doubt about it, a whole lot of fireworks today. Next one, OPEN, and this is a little tricky to talk about because it's all about perspective. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to talk about or call yourself, and you bought right there, maybe you bought the dip right there, and your plan was to buy and sell within 12 minutes, well then yes, from that standpoint, the chart looks really, really bad. However, if you care about things from the bigger picture standpoint, even with a very big pullback here, overall, the chart still has plenty of opportunity to build that higher base. So I'm actually going to get rid of these lines, and let's just think, and again, I'm not saying the price is coming down to this area, but let's just say it does. So let's say the price pulls back even more than what it already has. So it comes down here to right around $5.80. So price comes down here and then does something like this before starting to try to curl back upwards. Now, emphasis here on big picture. From the big picture perspective, what do you have? Well, you'd have a set of lows here. You'd have lows here. You'd have lows here. You'd have lows down here. And if you envision each one of those as stair steps, what do you have? Again, emphasis on big picture. Well, from the big picture standpoint, you'd still very clearly have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. Again, I'm well aware if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't care about these stair steps. So that's why I'm trying to, kind of separate this out, that I'm talking about things from the bigger picture point of view. So yes, today, a very rough day, but think about that word, today, as in one day. Looking at multiple days, which is what we're doing here, you can see the price does still have plenty of opportunity to build a higher base. So we'll see if the bulls can get that job done or not. Next one here, NXTT, and overall, a rough day. All about perspective, though. I mean, if you're some sort of day trader and, you bought right here and then you scalped it out on the way up, then for you, you're not complaining about the action. But just from an overall standpoint, rough movement as it did make that big move and then came back down. So overall, this area of resistance right here at 0.167, talked about that as a resistance in a previous video. It is still an area now. Sure, at one point it had been broken. Really, it had been shattered right there. But then as soon as the price fell back below it right there, as of right now, 0.167 would still need to be considered that initial area of resistance from more of an overarching standpoint. You'll want to continue to watch that purple line right there, the 50-period moving average, but one hurdle at a time, and that first key hurdle right there at 0.167. And then in regards to levels of support, going to put in that line right there, which is technically speaking in a little bit of an overall uptrend. You can see that level is got a slight upward slope to it. So nothing drastic, but to be fair, as long as the price can stay above that green line, then you could at least make the argument that the price is still technically building higher bases. But if the price were to come down on that level and break below, at that point, it's pretty much completely game over because you can't even make the argument that the price is building bases or higher bases. So yes, rough movement today, especially if you're someone that tried to, buy up around there, but we'll see if the price can try to curl back upwards. Next one here, XAIR. Nice mover here, nice overall pattern. So let's just get this pattern drawn into play. And I'm thinking a lot of people are going to be watching each of these levels. So we have that area of resistance right there. We have this area of support right there. Again, let's change that to green to represent support. And then just to make the pattern easier to see, let's keep it all the same color. So we have our area of resistance. We have our area of support. So if you wanted to, you could just call this like a symmetrical triangle wedge formation, or if you wanted to factor this in right here, just, to kind of counterbalance the fact that this is still happening in an upwards environment. And then if you're a golfer, put the golf float on here. So you could also call this a bull pennant pattern. Now, just because something's a bullish pattern does not mean for sure guaranteed it's going to work upwards, but would it be shocking if the price came up here and broke through there? Absolutely not. So again, not guaranteed, but certainly a valid question to throw out there as a possibility. Next one, SKYQ, and same general idea of kind of what I've talked about with a lot of these. It's all about perspective. Day trader, flipper, scalper, if you bought right there, this is an absolute train wreck of a chart. But if you do care about the grand scheme of things, the prices, it's trying to hold in there. It's trying to build a higher base, and that's where this trend line here comes into play. Because yes, if the price can stay above that trend line, then you can still at least make the argument that the price is building higher bases. And from the bigger picture standpoint, that's what it's all about. You want to see price movements build those higher lows over time. And that's what that trend line right there is illustrating. In terms of levels of resistance, I would say the key battleground to keep an eye on is right there at that trend line, which again, we have one of these essentially kind of a wedge formation here. So it just becomes a question of who's going to ultimately win this battle. Do the bulls win? Do the bears win? We'll see what happens. So grab your popcorn for Tuesday. Real quick, want to take a break and help you solve a potential and very common problem out there. And this problem is this. I'd like to be a day trader, and I'm defining day trader as having unlimited day trades every single day, but I can't because of the pattern day trading rule. If that describes your situation, there is a way to go about the markets in a very low capital required way that allows you to have as many day trades as you want every single day. And it's what I've been doing. However, I do understand if all this sounds a little too sketchy, a little too good to be true. Totally get it. That is why I'm also inviting you to check out the live stream that I've been doing. I start every day at 11 a.m. Eastern. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can be reminded of when I go live. But that way you can come see exactly what I'm talking about here with your very own eyes. And if you have questions, then by all means, ask me questions. But yes, if you want to enter yourself into a market where there's no pattern day trading rule, and quite frankly, it moves even better than penny stocks and small caps and all that, then definitely check out the link. Next one, NVDA, and wow, you got to think that everybody and their brother's uncle has drawn in this trend line right here. And I make that comment because, as I mentioned earlier, when you know a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movements. So no guarantees, but totally valid to think that if the price comes up here and breaks through that level, that break right there could very realistically create additional buying pressure. Again, no guarantees, but a very more than valid question to throw out there as a possibility. If the price does ultimately roll back downwards, key area of support on any sort of move back down, right here around the 167.25 mark. And I wouldn't call that a do or die level, but it is very important because if the price were to come down here and then break down below it, now all of a sudden you have these situations where, okay, the price was down here, it made a nice move up, and all of a sudden it's gone right back to where it started. Not exactly a sign of genuine power. So again, not saying that's what's going to occur, but that is why in my mind that 167.25 mark, very, very important. Next one here, QS, and we have one of these overarching nice little patterns here. So let's get this drawn into play. We have our area of resistance right here. We have an area of support right here. And then just keep everything the same color so everybody can see it. We have resistance. We have support. We have the big upwards move right there. Let me draw that over a little bit more. There we go. And then again, for you golfers out there, put the golf float on here. We are looking at another bull pennant pattern. You've already heard me talk about the bull pennant, and I want to respect your time as much as possible. So I'm not going to repeat myself other than just saying, hey, look, if you're a fan of the bull pennant, you have another one to choose from. Next one, SOUN. I've been tracking this one very closely. And if you watch the video from Friday, talked about that being a key area of resistance. And you can see today that level has been absolutely destroyed and the price continues to grind higher and higher. So first I'm going to do is actually a little house cleaning, get rid of that level. Sure, it still pertains right now, but it's not really relevant. So we'll just try to keep this as clutter-free as possible. But first key update comes about just based on that rule that when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So moving forward now, $14.70 would be the ideal level of support. Meaning if you're asked, hey Clay, what would make this chart look the absolute strongest going forward? Definitely if the price can stay above $14.70, but from an overarching standpoint, as long as the price stays above this purple line here, that line being the 50-period simple moving average, keyword being moving. So as that line moves higher and higher, as long as the price stays above there, then overall the bulls are in full health. And then in terms of areas of resistance, as I squeeze things down, you can see that it's been a long time since the price has been up around this area. So next key battleground to watch very closely is now going to be up there right around the $16 mark. But anyway, look at it. It already had a good week last week. It's off to a great start this week, so we'll see if the momentum can continue. Next one, SNTG, and we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. So again, just save yourself and try to respect your time as much as possible. Going to go through this quicker. There's the bottom part of the pattern support. Here is the resistance portion right here. And just because I can't help myself, let's see if we can keep it all one color. So we have our area of resistance. We have our area of support. We have the big upwards move right here. We have the golf hole down here. So there we are looking at yet another bull pennant pattern. Next one, TSLA Tesla. And again, one of these, it's all about perspective. Scalpers, day traders, flippers that bought right there and we're hoping to buy and sell within 20 minutes. Yes, from that standpoint, not a good day at all. But if you do care about things from the overarching standpoint, technically speaking, the price did put in a higher high because on Friday right there, that was the highest high and it did actually go above there. Sure, it gave it back, but still put in that higher high. So on that note, though, the level that I think a lot of people are probably going to be watching, because this line, you got to think a lot of people have noticed that right here at the 344.75. You go back to Friday right there, you can see a couple bounces right off that area, and then you go and look at today, and there's another bounce and another bounce. So that area, 344.75, got to think a lot of eyeballs will be watching that as support. If the price breaks down below it, then there are also a couple other key areas of support. The initial one being that purple line there, the 50-period moving average, and then a more important one down there, that pink line, the 200-period. Meaning if the price were to drop down to the pink line and then even go below there, again, I'm not saying the chart is destroyed, but that would be a red flag that, maybe the bulls are starting to, lose some of their strength. In regards to levels of resistance, seems though the key battleground still remains right up here around the 355 mark. But all in all, like I said, assuming you care about the big picture, even with the bigger pullback today, still plenty of opportunity to build a higher base, and that's what matters most. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you are sick and tired of the pattern day trend rule, if you want to throw yourself into a market that, quite frankly, moves way better than penny stocks, way better than small caps, then definitely check out the market that I've been trading in a very risk-friendly way. So like I said, check out the link, but if you're skeptical, if it sounds too good to be true, totally understand. Like I said, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can be reminded of when I do go live. And then you can watch all this play out right before your eyes. And like I said earlier, ask me any questions if you do have them. So swing by the live stream and ask me questions. So thanks for hanging out. As always, if you enjoy these, make sure you hit that like button, and hopefully I'll see you on the live stream.